All right, guys, welcome to the WAN show. This is going to be the first show in quite some time with no technical difficulties. Actually, I already know there's going to be one technical difficulty. We accidentally deleted the version of the WAN show intro that has audio. So the guys are currently working on fixing that baby up, and hopefully it'll be back for next week. So without much further ado, I guess, so many of you. I know for a fact, due to the Twitch delay, that you haven't even gotten far enough in the show for me to have admitted there were going to be difficulties, and you guys are all like, "Blah, ha, 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 lol," but I know, you're right. Anyway, we've got a lot of great topics today, and by we, I guess I mean Luke is actually, I wonder if I'm allowed to say where he is. He's in LA. He was invited there by a graphics card maker who isn't AMD. So I guess, hopefully I haven't revealed too much. The reason for him being there is under NDA, and he's got Brandon with him, so he's definitely making videos. So that's all I'll really say, which is kind of a lot, but Luke couldn't be here with us today, unfortunately, but I'll do my best to run the show by myself for y'all. And we've got a lot of great topics this week, actually. The Microsoft Surface Pro 4 and more may be revealed at an October 6th New York City event. I did know about the event. I unfortunately couldn't make it, so I won't be there, but I'll definitely be checking out what else is going to be shown off. There's a few things that are rumored. Sharp is looking to introduce 8K displays as early as October of this year, so that is some pretty banana stuff right there. What else we got? Oh, this is terrible. A 14-year-old student was arrested for bringing a homemade clock to school. And before any of you ask, yes, his last name was Mohamed, which is not an excuse for arresting him. Anyway, we'll get into that a little bit more later. And this is more big news. Actually, there really is a lot this week. Oh boy. Jim Keller has left the building at AMD. He had come back after a stint at Apple, working as the lead architect on the A4 and A5, and had come back to sort of let AMD's CPU division rise from the ashes, etc. And yeah, and he's gone. And he's gone. We'll talk about what this might mean for AMD over the next couple of years and then possibly over the longer term. So without further ado, I'm going to roll the intro. Doot 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 doot. I've got people saying to move the mic away. I could just get a pop filter. I don't know where it is, though. So yeah, there's that. And the show is no longer powered by Razer Comms. That is an extraordinarily old version of the intro. There you go. I'll see if you guys are happy now. So I'll do my best over here. I'm gonna be all like, "Hi, Twitch chat." I don't have Luke to talk to this week, so I'll have to settle for Twitch chat. No offense, you guys, but you are a poor substitute for the sexy mastodon of a man that normally sits next to me. I just realized actually too that I'm kind of on his side. Like, I don't know how many of you share a bed with someone. A significant other, or, your mom or whatever. I don't judge. But it's weird. Like, try laying down on the wrong side, and you're just like, this is weird. I need to roll now. It's kind of the same thing. Actually, this I highly recommend. If you guys are watching the archive of the show, then you can pause the show and do this now. If you're live, then you might have to wait till after the show. But if you ever drink from the faucet, like just kind of, you're like, "Oh, I'm thirsty, I'm in the kitchen, I'll have to dirty a glass if I get a glass, so I'll just put my head under the faucet and drink from there." Try doing it the other way. It's like the most bizarre thing. I was like, "Oh, my mouth doesn't know how to do this. It's super weird stuff, and I will stop. Actually, I'm not even really stalling for anything. I'm legitimately not having any technical difficulties so far this week, so I'm feeling pretty good. Why don't we jump right into our first topic here? I'm going to grab the link for y'all in the chat, and I'm not going to do links the complicated way, so they're going to be kind of ugly and all that, but that's okay. We can live with that. The original poster for this is Dat Speed over on the forum. Thank you very much for posting this in the news section. And the article here is from Windows Central. So it shouldn't be any huge surprise that with both Broadwell and Skylake architecture CPUs from Intel having been released since the Surface Pro 3, which is still running Haswell, that there was probably going to be a Surface Pro 4. And no, that thing that Apple announced back at their event was not a Surface Pro 4. You can tell because there's no kickstand. That's one key difference. And it doesn't run a proper OS. It runs a mobile OS. So there you go. And by proper OS, I don't mean that iOS is a bad operating system or it's not a real operating system. I just mean it's not a full-fat operating system. You're not going to be able to load like the full Adobe Creative Suite on there and take advantage of that fancy stylus and all of that noise. So there's actually a few other things that are rumored to show up. The invites being sent out to the media for the event are for exciting news about Windows 10 devices. And I did read this particular invite and I kind of went, well, I wasn't planning to be in New York on October the 6th, and sort of I got a lot of crap to do in general, so unfortunately I can't make it, and I don't think they even offered to, like, pay for my ticket out there, so it really did seem to be kind of an afterthought, like, hey, what if that Linus guy wants to show up? Okay, yeah, let's make sure he doesn't get bounced at the door just in case. So it was one of those kinds of things, and I was just like, yeah, I'm busy, I can't really make it, but that doesn't mean that I'm not extremely interested to see what they're going to be up to at the event over there. There haven't been a lot of hints, but some other rumors are that they will be announcing the Lumia 950 and 950 XL. Yeah, okay, and I guess that's really about it. The code names for a couple of the devices are Talkman and Cityman, which I guess tells us that there's talking. We're aiming at like sort of the urban man, and I mean, you know how the rumor mill goes. What I've actually learned over the years is that once you get pretty close to an event or a device launch, the rumor mill is pretty much 95% accurate, with the exceptions being cases like what Nvidia pulled on, I think it was the GTX 580, where literally, okay, and I'm not even exaggerating at all, the people selling the product, okay, so your EVGA or your MSI or your Asus, the people selling the product and the people buying the product, which was me, I was working at NCIX at the time, before a few hours before the launch, did not know the price. So I had to cut a purchase order based on faith. My sales rep at MSI had to process that order, not knowing how much revenue he was generating or what his commission was going to be, like all these little details, right? And then Nvidia dropped a bomb and dropped the price like right on the launch. So there are a few exceptions, but in general, if, you know, a couple days or let's say even, you know, a few weeks before an iPhone 6S is announced and, you know, our buddy Lou over at Unbox Therapy shows up with iPhone 6 Plus cases and starts bending them or doing his thing, it's probably real. So it's real unless it's a hoax or an intentional deception. Speaking of things that are real, this next topic is pretty bananas. So this was posted by HK05, and the original article here is from the BBC. Let's go ahead and pull this baby up. The first 8K TV screen to be commercially available. Now, to be clear, I do mean clear. I miss Luke. I wish he was here to laugh at my terrible jokes. Maybe Twitch chat is LOLing right now. You guys, come on, it's real unless it's a hoax. Well, yeah. Okay. No, is anyone gonna laugh at my joke? Ha ha ha! Yes, thank you. The no scope, you win. Oh, okay. Oh, I love you guys. Okay, you guys made me feel good about myself, and you made me feel like I can continue to make those jokes with impunity. Ha ha! Jokes on you. So sorry, what am I talking about? Right. So to be clear, 8K displays have been shown before. I've seen them in person. I've been like this close to them, and I've kind of examined them, and I've gone, wow, that sure is a lot of pixels. That sure is clear that one video file that exists in the entire universe of a locomotive at 8K on the show floor at CES. But this is different. This is a real commercial product, and is apparently going to be launching on October 30th, which is appropriate because that price tag is going to give you quite a scare. It's rumored to be somewhere in the 12... Wait, is that even right? Hold on a second. That must be a typo in my notes for this. That is a typo. So my notes for the show say $12,500 to $13,300. Yeah, I think not. We're missing a zero here. yeah. So the price is going to be well over $100,000, about $125,000 to $130,000, which is really not that unusual when it comes to these cutting edge technologies. Like, that image is so sharp, it's cutting edge. Thanks, guys. Now I've missed where I'm going with this. And you know what? It will be incredibly sharp. We're talking 4 times the number of pixels compared to 4K. Okay? And you know that comparison that you always see of 4K displays with a 1080p resolution display kind of in the corner. So 4K is 4 times the number of pixels of 1080p, and 8K is 4 times the pixels of 4K. So the resolution will be 7680 by 4320. So NASA will be delivering 4K space footage beginning November 1st. Netflix and Amazon, not to mention YouTube, are offering 4K streaming internet video, although with that said, and we've talked about this a fair bit. In fact, for those of you who haven't checked it out before, I'm just going to go ahead and bring up the video. I'll post it in the Twitch chat because if you haven't watched this particular video of ours, it is definitely worth a look. 4K, is it a placebo? Is it worth it? Here we go. Oh, that's weird. Oh, that's just a little custom test I ran. Okay, so you guys definitely want to check this out because there's a lot more at play when it comes to high quality picture than the resolution. Things like, dynamic range, any color grading that's being done on it. Things like, alterations made to sharpness to enhance or detract from the picture quality. Things like the bit rate that the media you're actually streaming. So just because, you're gonna, watch online content in 4K doesn't actually necessarily mean it looks better at all than a 1080p Blu-ray. Speaking of Blu-ray, something, can't remember. Yeah, I think 4K Blu-rays are finally showing up like sometime soon or something like that. So why am I talking about 4K content in the context of an 8K TV? Well, for one thing, upscaling is a thing and can help a little bit. And for another thing, it's to make the point that back when a 4K display was costing you 6 figures, it's not until now that you're finally getting content for it. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, as cool a piece of technology as this is, I wouldn't recommend that you run out and buy it. Now, that's not to say that there will be no content whatsoever. NHK, Japan Broadcasting Corporation, will start to broadcast in its 8K super high vision format sometime in 2018. Yeah. And I mean, you know what? This is something that a lot of people are really confused about right now. And that is, Well, hold on a second. There's 8K cameras now. Like I can never keep track of what Red calls their stupid cameras, but I think its Weapon is the latest one. We went from the what just happened? Did my feed just cut out? I promised no technical damn it! Just a sec. Did you guys ever find an XA? The XA turned off. Did you guys ever find a power adapter for it?
Did it seriously just die?
Yeah, it just turned off.
That battery is so faulty. It's at 120 million.
Okay, come plug it in when you get a chance.
Hello. That's insane. I actually changed it.
The camera's on, right? The camera?
Yeah.
It is?
Yeah.
Uh-oh. I'm refreshing. It's on, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, there we go. Woo!
Yourself with how many times you mentioned no technical difficulty.
Yeah, I know, right? All right, I don't remember what I was talking about anymore. So something, 8K, 4K, something, whatever. Let's move on to the next topic. So Nvidia's Gamestream Co-Op has entered beta. This was posted on the forum by Shadow Bullet, and our source for this is, well, the Nvidia.com website. So this is some pretty cool stuff, and actually, for us over here, was one of the big highlights of the recent Nvidia graphics card launch, the 950. Not because, the 950 isn't a cool card, and fair price and all that stuff, but because this kind of technology is driving gaming forward in a way that a new, bang for the buck, mid-range to low-end graphics processor isn't. Because, quite frankly, when NVIDIA launches a GTX, 960 or 950 or whatever, they're not breaking new ground. This is performance that we already had with the previous generation, just at a higher price point. So that's cool, and lower prices and more performance for all is great, but the reason that we don't, get all that excited about it is because it's not bringing us new gaming experiences. This, on the other hand, is some pretty cool shiz. So basically, NVIDIA graphics card users can now phone a friend to get through a game's tough spots with the latest beta. So to use Gamestream Co-op, the host PC needs a GTX 650 or higher desktop GPU or a 660M or higher laptop card, a Core i3-2100 or higher CPU with at least 4 gigs of RAM, which probably you have if you have a current generation graphics card, and you need at least 7 megabit per second of upstream bandwidth along with a decent router. So after receiving an invite, the guest can actually launch the stream, like a live stream of the game you're playing, using a Google Chrome extension. So it's designed for DirectX 9 games or higher, so unfortunately, those of you who want to play, The Matrix or whatever on Gamestream Co-op, you might be out of luck. And streams are capped at 720p 30 FPS, with co-op sessions limited to 60 minutes at a time before the host needs to send another invite. But, yeah! Pretty darn cool. There's integrated YouTube upload capabilities and a new in-game overlay. So, yeah, I'm liking it. Oh, I remember what I was going to talk about next on the 8K video thing. So some of you might be thinking, okay, Linus, hold on a second. There's 8K cameras out there, like, Red's latest, awesome named product or whatever the case may be. In fact, I think Marcus Brownlee actually has his camera out for the upgrade right now as we speak, if he hasn't got it back already. And you're probably thinking, well, come on, these Hollywood guys out there and these, big shot YouTubers with their big, studios, why aren't they just all buying 8K cameras and releasing all their videos at 8K? Because there are a lot of other problems. So problem number one is the workflow. Okay, working with 8K footage, we're talking file sizes that are massively bigger than 1080p and even 4K. is going to put additional strain on your processor, on your storage devices, on your network if you work over the network like we do. Problem number 2 is on camera and generally storage. Like just storing these massive files all over the place is a significant issue. Okay, problem number 3 is who's watching this? And while we did discover that playing back 4K video on your 1080p monitor on YouTube, if you have the bandwidth, if you have the internet connection for it, does offer a benefit thanks to the higher bitrate of the content. For 8K, I mean, that may be a benefit, but in that case, you don't need to shoot on an 8K camera anyway. You might as well shoot on a 1080p even, a good 1080p camera or a 4K camera, and then just export at 8K, which leads us to yet another problem, and that is exporting at 8K. Codec support really isn't there yet. I exported an 8K file on a fairly powerful computer, very powerful, 36-core machine, and it just completely crapped the bed. And then yet another issue is that display interfaces haven't even caught up yet. So even if people did want to go and buy $100,000 TVs, even if like every millionaire in the world was like, we want to push 8K forward. Let's bring us 8K now. We're gonna all buy 8K TVs if you guys will start broadcasting in 8K. And the issue is that I don't think we even have a display interface that is gonna, I don't even know how they're planning to drive this thing. Maybe HDMI 2.0 30 hertz. Maybe that'll work. I don't even know. Because HDMI 2.0, I know can do 40K 60 hertz, but maybe you guys will have to let me know. And then the final issue with 8K that will, I think, really I think 8K adoption, and you guys can quote me on this. 8K adoption will be as much slower than 4K adoption as 4K was than 1080p. And 1080p was relatively fast. 4K is taking forever because you're counting on all these infrastructure upgrades in the back end. It's almost no content that's being broadcast like via traditional broadcast in 4K. With only like web companies doing what I would call cheapo 4K because there hasn't been an infrastructure upgrade to make it possible. Not really. We're still talking bit rates that are quite low compared to, something like a 1080p Blu-ray, even though you've upped the resolution. So all these infrastructure upgrades, I think 8K could be, 10 years, 20 years before anyone even gives a crap at all. And the reason for that is that it all comes down to Apple's Retina marketing. And I'm not saying Apple's Retina marketing in the sense that because Apple's full of snake oil and they've convinced everyone that, Retina is the only thing that's important or whatever. But because of the Retina concept, in which there's actually a fair bit of truth to be had. With a good quality display, with accurate color management, and with high contrast, which matters more to image quality than you would think. And I don't mean turning up the contrast knob. That's bad. I mean a high difference between the brightness level of white versus the brightness level of black. So something right. Basically the concept that there's a certain number of pixels needed at the optimal or usual viewing distance to make it so that the viewer cannot discern any additional improvement in image quality from adding more pixels. And I would make the argument that 1080 is already there unless you've got eagle eye vision. 4K, yep. You'll probably see some improvement, especially once you start seeing content that was shot in 4K, which isn't going to look quite as clean and quite as crisp on a 1080p display. The content improvement is going to be as much probably of what you see in terms of, wow, 4K is so much better, as the resolution improvement. And going from 4K to 8K at what would be the typical, we've gotten to the limit of how big of a TV people want to put in their living rooms. I don't know about you guys, but my living room doesn't have room for a 100-inch TV. So TVs are going to be, and there's shipping and logistical, like it's hard to ship around TVs that are bigger than that. They're very easy to damage. They're hard to lift. Like we're pretty much at the limit now in terms of what people are going to want for a typical living room TV screen. Now the home theater guys, they're a different ball of wax, but they always have been, and they're going to keep wanting, projectors or rollout displays that are, 150 inches or whatever the case may be. But for now, 8K is not going to offer a tangible benefit for normal users putting normal sized TVs in normal homes and sitting a normal distance away from them. You can mark my words on that. 8K already doesn't matter, but hey, if you want to have dem bragging rights or whatever, then you can drop $130,000 on a sharp 8K display, and you can feel pretty good about yourself because that'll be... Apparently Twitch chat wants Dennis? I don't know. Hey, Dennis, do you want to come say hi to Twitch chat?
Hello.
Well, no, you have to come over here. Also, you have to be Dennis.
I am Dennis. Hello.
You are not Dennis, and... Oh, my goodness. Well, okay, Dennis is on his way over. Twitch chat is getting what they wanted. Apparently, Burkle's on his way over, too.
I didn't know if you were talking to me or not.
I wasn't talking to you. No, I am talking to you, Dennis. No, I was talking to Burkle when I said I wasn't talking to you.
Okay.
The microphone's here.
Hello. What's going on?
Okay, thank you, Dennis.
Is there anything happening?
No, that's an image of us.
Oh, cool.
The camera's over there.
What? Rolling and shooting something.
Carry on, guys.
Are we too loud over there?
No, not at all. Dennis. We actually had someone post on the forum that apparently we all hate Dennis or something like that. Do you think I'd hire him if I didn't like him? If I didn't think he was a fantastic member of our team? And Dennis doesn't have to be here. He's a highly skilled individual. Like he probably doesn't get enough credit for all the stuff that he's been doing around here. Dennis has edited Personal Rig Update Part 1 on the LTT channel. He also edited right. That is a cool video. The desk PC build with like the components clipped into, well, not, okay, I won't spoil the surprise, but however they're attached to the bottom of the desk, he filmed and edited that on a Saturday, no less. Totally good guy. He edits almost all of Fast as Possible now, so yeah, he's an extremely valuable member of the team, and I'd like to dispel any rumors that we don't love Dennis around here. All right. Let's go ahead and move on to our next topic. This is some cool stuff. The original article here is from bgr.com, and I'm sorry, I've been forgetting to post links for you guys. I suck. And the OP on the forum was Joss. Cool stuff. This transparent solar-powered battery looks like a futuristic Tony Stark invention, is the headline over there, and it looks like some pretty cool stuff. So it's a fully transparent solar cell that could, in theory, turn every window and screen into a power source. Like, remember on your Game Gear, it would come with a warning that says, "Do not leave the screen in direct sunlight." That could be a thing of the past. What if it's a requirement that you run your devices with the screen in direct sunlight? Yeah, now that's a future that I'm talking about. So this was developed by a team of researchers at the Kogakuin? Yeah, okay, whatever. I have not heard of that university before. I'm really sorry to everyone from there who's watching. And it was influenced by Ubiquitous Energy. So it contains a lithium-ion battery that is not entirely transparent. It becomes slightly tinted when exposed to sunlight. When it's fully discharged, the light transmittance rises to approximately 60%. So the team shrunk down the electrodes all the way down to around 80 to 90 nanometers to allow light to pass through. So they've been working on this technology for about 4 years since a team of researchers at Stanford came up with the concept. The concept was demoed at Innovation Japan earlier this month, and it's not clear... how long it will take to be used in commercial products. So the prototype currently has an efficiency of around 1%. Okay, so, nothing super, world revolutionariness yet, but they think that 10% should be possible once production commences. So it's scalable and affordable from smartphones all the way up to industrial size windows. And let me tell you, if we could convert the random sunlight coming into our warehouse and our office and heating it up in the summer into energy, we would be totally down for that. I had a feeling there were like some straw poll things that I wanted to do today, and I've completely forgotten what any of the ideas I wanted to do were. But, I would like to talk about a little project that I worked on today. Just in the meantime, I'm going to request a glass of water from someone because I have done a lot of talking today. I shot Too Fast as Possible, some like random bits that someone needed for another video right before WAN show today. And then earlier today, I finally did it. I've had a lot of requests for more spots for my son, and I finally felt like he was ready to carry his dad's torch and take over Linus Media Group. He is hosting, with some help from Dad, his very first PC build log. Yes, my friends, my 3-year-old came into the office today. In fact, it's so funny. It's like he comes in, he does a PC build log, and now he is actually in the library having a nap. So he built his very first PC today. Taryn got the whole thing on camera and is recording it as we speak right now, and that will be uploaded on Vessel this weekend, which means it should land on YouTube sometime next week. So that is going to be some good stuff. Look at that. He even put ice in it. You are such a suck-up.
Oh, yeah, I know. Give me a razor. Thanks,
That is not going to last long. So let's go ahead and jump into our next topic here. This is really sad. This was posted by Rune on the forum, and it's just like, I don't know. I don't really know. What is there to really say about this other than that it totally sucks? This has been making waves this week. The post that I've got on it here is from The Verge. So 18-year-old Ahmed Mohamed arrested for bringing a homemade clock to school. Now, to be clear, he has been released, but not until after he'd been... Okay, well, here, why don't we start at the beginning? So he lives in Irving and has a keen interest in robotics and engineering. Cool. All right. Put the device together on Sunday night. Was pulled out of class the next day, interviewed by police officers, and taken in handcuffs to juvenile detention after being told by teachers that his creation looked like a bomb. Now, I mean, is this what happens? We have Looney Tunes to thank. This is what happens when an entire generation of kids grows up watching, Wile E. Coyote strap himself to, rockets and build bombs out of like dynamite sticks with clocks attached to them on Saturday mornings, and then grows up and becomes the adults. Because a bomb, so to be clear, the simple device was created from a circuit board and a power supply wired to a digital display, all strapped inside a case with a tiger hologram on the front. So because everyone thinks that anything with a display on the front looks like a bomb, this guy gets taken away from school in handcuffs. I mean, what is this doing for... And I tend not to get into the whole, what's the right way to combat racism? Because quite frankly, it's a little outside my wheelhouse. I'm going to stick to building PCs, which is what I'm usually good at. But does this seem like the kind of thing that's going to break down race barriers? Hauling away the brown kid in handcuffs because he had the audacity to bring something to school that someone thought looked like a bomb, when the adult way, and, you know, at 14, you should be able to deal with this the adult way. The adult way to deal with this would be to be like, hey, what is that? And he'd be like, a clock. And you'd be like, oh, cool. Show me how it works. We could just communicate with each other. Seems like kind of an okay idea. I know I'm making statements and then I'm, you know, my intonation at the end of my sentences sounds like a question, but it's because I'm questioning everything right now. So very frustrating. But I mean, basically, the good news is that the PR train is rolling on this whole thing. Barack Obama has invited him to the White House, saying that the States needs more kids like him who are taking an interest in being makers at a young age. Mark Zuckerberg has reached out and invited him to Facebook HQ. A JPL engineer has invited him to come check out a Mars rover whenever he wants. So, to be clear, happy ending to the story, but this is just insanity. And at any stage, someone could and should have stopped it. So if some kid was like, hey, he's got a bomb, all the teacher had to do was go and look at it. And, you know, it's one thing if he, you know, plants it in a kid's locker he doesn't like and phones in a bomb threat to the school. Now we're having a serious conversation about, you know, young Ahmed needing a stern talking to and, you know, should probably be hauled off in handcuffs. But it's another thing if some kid's like, oh, yeah, you know, that guy has a bomb, and the teacher looks at it for freaking, you're supposed to have a degree. You're supposed to be an educator for like 2 seconds, talks to the kid for 2 seconds, and avoids the call to the cops. And then the cops have every opportunity to tell everyone to calm the truck down. It's not a bomb, which you were clearly told already, and not haul him off in handcuffs. Just absolutely ridiculous. I'm sorry you guys have to listen to me sucking back water, but I really, really need it. All right, so this is good stuff. This is posted by Ah Ming on the forum. Thank you very much, Ah Ming, for posting this. I'm going to go ahead and copy the link to Android Authority. Here we go, and then let's go ahead and screen share with you guys. Buppity-boo, where is it? Yep, there it is. All right, Qualcomm introduces Quick Charge 3.0, powering up devices 4 times faster. I always love those claims with, you know, the little asterisk next to the number. 4 times if you compare to when it was a caveman, spinning a stick like this, with a wire attached to the bottom of it, plugged into the bottom of your phone. So no, it is not 4 times faster than Quick Charge 2.0, but it is definitely raising the bar for fast charging, and not on just Apple devices. Like, Apple has always been pretty good at this stuff. Now, in the last few generations of Quick Charge, Qualcomm has allowed pretty much any Android device out there, as long as they're willing to invest in the supported products from Qualcomm, to have fast, intelligent battery charging. So Quick Charge 1.0 was 40% faster than conventional charging, with Quick Charge 2.0 being 75% faster than conventional charging, and Quick Charge 3.0 being 38% faster than Quick Charge 2.0. This is cool. It's USB Type-C ready, so I mean, it seems to me, and I don't have any particular industry insight on this, maybe someone has already covered this somewhere, in which case feel free to tell me I'm an idiot or whatever, but it seems to me like what happened with the OnePlus 2 was that during product development, Type-C, the connector was ready, but the back-end quick charge circuitry was not ready for that connector and that standard yet. So OnePlus was forced to release the 2 with the Type-C connector, which was a good call, durability, reversibility, A+ for that, but without rapid charging, which for some people is a serious drawback. Well, now it's ready, and any phones that we see that are developed now that the technology is finished should be able to support both of those things at the same time. So aside from achieving insane charging speeds, this is the first time that Qualcomm is using intelligent negotiation for optimum voltage, which is a new algorithm to determine how much voltage that they should request. So this will ship in devices with the Snapdragon 8, 26, 2618, and 430. Good stuff. Now, here is a thing though. it is common knowledge, I think, amongst the technology savvy folks out there, that charging your battery faster does a couple of things. Number one is it gets you back up and running sooner. And number two is it causes your battery to heat up more. So it causes the battery to heat up more, which can, in turn, cause your battery to have a lower lifespan. So I'm personally, you can call it superstition, you can call it whatever you want, I'm personally in the charging every time for the batteries that I care about at 1 amp or less camp. I actually don't even use a 2 amp charger on my Droid Turbo unless I'm desperate, because I want this 3900 milliamp hour battery to keep being capable of what a 3900 milliamp hour battery can be for a very, very long time. But, with that said, having the option to throw your device on the charger for 30 minutes and get, enough battery to stay out basically all day is definitely nice. And I'm not going to say no to future improvements in quick charge technology. Oh, this was actually just added. This was just added after the fact to the WAN show document. So for everyone watching right now, we are doing a Samsung Galaxy S6 Edge Plus giveaway. So let's go ahead and paste that link into the Twitch chat here. So you guys definitely go and check that out. Let me just go actually find out what exactly the the terms of this are. So we have Nick is actually. Oh, look at that! There's a special Linus Media Group staff thing for Linus Media Group staff. I didn't know that. I don't think I have one of those. It's pink. Love it. All right, so we've partnered with Samsung to give you lucky people the opportunity to be the owner of a new Galaxy S6 Edge Plus as part of your Fest Foot Forward campaign. Is it really Fest Foot Forward? Okay. They brought Snapchatter Sean Duras and Viner Ray Ligay out to a few outdoor music festivals this summer and let them demonstrate how you can step your social media game up a few notches with the camera features on their new S6 Edge and Edge Plus smartphones. And it really is a great camera, which you guys will know if you watched out my S6 Edge review. So how do you enter? You watch this video, which I'll go ahead and paste in the Twitch chat now. I think you have to like it as well. Not 100% sure how they're tracking that, but I think you're supposed to like it. Hit the like button on the videos in the series over on Samsung's channel and comment below letting them know what your favorite feature highlighted in the series was. So it's one comment per person, and it is a worldwide giveaway. Good stuff. Way to go, Nick. I guess so the phone will probably be shipped out by us. So there you go, guys. Definitely go open that in another tab or whatever, or go hit like and leave your comment now. It only takes a second, and you'll be entered for a chance to win a Galaxy S6 Edge Plus, which, as far as I can tell, now that I've had my hands on both of them, is basically a Note 5 with the curve on the glass instead of the curve on the back. So yeah, and so far, where is my Note 5? What the heck? Oh, there it is. It's under my butt. So I've been working on my Note 5 review for a little while now. So far, wow, really nice phone. This is the first Note series phone that has really gotten my attention. There were things I liked about previous ones. I'm sure Ed's going to correct me here, but I think it was a Note 2 was the last Note he had. And there were some really great things about that phone. I mean, the huge screen is obviously nice for content consumption. And let me tell you, with the bezels being so small on this puppy, it really is outstanding for content consumption. It had really loud speakers, which is something that's easier to do in a larger phone body, just because you can fit bigger speakers in it. And yeah, anyway, really like this phone so far. Stay tuned, because my review will be coming at some point in the future. I actually don't have an ETA on that yet. All right, what do we got next? Oh, this is interesting. So this was posted by Patrick3027 on the forum, and the original article here is from the BBC. Computers do not improve pupil results, says the Organization for Economic Cooperations and Development. So here's the forum post over there, and let's go ahead and pull this baby up. So investing heavily in school computers and classroom technology does not improve pupils' performance, says a global study from the OECD. The think tank says frequent use of computers in schools is more likely to be associated with lower results. That is very interesting. So Tom Bennett, a government expert on pupil behavior, said that teachers have been dazzled by school computers. So the report from the OECD examines the impact of school technology on international test results, such as the PISA test taken in more than 70 countries and tests measuring digital skills. So an average daily minutes for countries using the internet at school graph is available right here, also on the BBC. Let's see if we can find it. Yep, here we go. So your top 5 average daily minutes using internet at school. Okay, and then let me see. Number of students per school computer. Top 5, bottom 5. Bunch of really good stuff. You guys should definitely check it out. Here's a link directly to the article. But I guess I would like to bring up a few things that it feels like we're overlooked a little bit here. Okay, so Singapore, with only moderate use of technology in school, is top for digital skills. But okay, I went to Singapore quite recently, and what I'll tell you about Singapore is that is one wealthy ass country. Okay, straight up, that is an elite of the elite haven, and I mean, everything from how totally unaffordable cars are to, if you don't want to live in the government-funded housing, to how totally unaffordable property is. Like Singapore, what I'm trying to say is that they're using their computers at home if they're not using them at school and developing digital skills that way. You don't get computer skills by not investing in computer technology in the education system. Like, the fact that I know anything about computers, I was introduced to computers at school, okay? You can't just not have it at all. And I'm not saying that everything should be on an iPad either. I genuinely don't think that that's the right approach, and I think there is a value to working with a pen or a pencil and a piece of paper. But, and I guess this is part of what the report is saying, you have to strike a happy medium. I guess just the part that I feel like was missed here is that it's not necessarily about, internet use or computer use. It's about smart computer use. Like, that news that broke a little while ago about China investing heavily in 3D printers in their schools. That makes a ton of sense to me. You could tell me that my kid is going to have an hour block 2 times a week, every week on, digital 3D modeling and 3D printing and design. And I would say, is that it? Like, is that enough? Because that is the future. Whereas, if you're just kind of, giving students access to computers and these kind of like hokey educational software programs that are like, here is an on-screen, keyboard, piano, boop, 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 boop. Oh, you learned a thing, yay! Where it's basically just a game and the skills that are being introduced are very, very rudimentary. Like when, and I don't know how much it's changed, and I'm going to learn all these things now that my kids are finally getting to school age, but like when we had computer lab time, we were doing crap like playing Oregon Trail, and you could make the argument, oh, well, there's historical value there. Learning about the settlers or some crap or whatever, but like, come on. It's not like we couldn't have covered everything that there is to know in that game in like a couple of lessons and then moved on to something else. So I don't know, man. There's education is changing, because I mean, here's another thing that I'll kind of throw at you guys. Like, I actually limit fairly strictly my son's access to screens. I don't think that a 3-year-old needs to spend a ton of time playing video games, watching movies, or otherwise sitting still. I think they need to be running around. I think they need to be building towers out of blocks. I think they need to be doing hands-on things, because And, you hear the opposite argument a lot. Well, how will they be prepared for the digital age and the devices and the blah, blah, blah? Come on, get real. That stuff is so intuitive and so fun that he's going to do that crap on his own without any encouragement from me whatsoever. The world we live in now is so connected digitally that he's not even ever going to think about, physical media. The concept of a file in a folder on a drive or in the cloud somewhere is going to be completely second nature to him. I don't have to teach him that crap. So anyway, with all of that said, in the limited amount of time that he has spent, on YouTube or actually mostly YouTube now that I think about it, the kid is 3 and can already read a fair amount. And I will say straight up, I'm gonna give these guys a shout out. I think it's called like Kids TV 123 or some crap like that. Let me see if I can find it. Yep, Kids TV 123. This YouTube channel, man. As far as I can tell, they taught my kid basically everything he knows, and I can sing their phonics song off by heart. Pretty darn good here. A is for apple, apple. B is for ball, ball. And you know what? I mean, my kid is not only, it's really funny. We did an orientation for his preschool a couple weeks ago, and the teacher was saying, I had a really advanced student once that knew the whole alphabet, but this is more of just like a play and get familiar with the concept of a classroom program. It's at the local community center. Anyway, I was like, sorry, you had a pupil who knows the alphabet? He's known the full alphabet and all the phonetic sounds of all the letters since he was 2. So yeah, thank you, YouTube, I guess. So I didn't really lay down a firm opinion on any of that, did I? I guess what I was trying to say is it's not clear-cut, and the conclusions that especially some readers of the BBC article and other articles about this are drawing that there's a negative correlation between computer time and results are not necessarily accurate, because it's way more to do with how the computer time is being used and how the computer time is being used. I really don't think that doing addition on an iPad brings anything to the table versus doing addition on a piece of paper and a pencil. But things like a 3D modeling class or whatever else, like 3D art, sign me and all my kids up, and I wouldn't mind, having him come home and show me his homework, that kind of stuff too. All right. Oh, cool. Oh, never mind, that's embargoed. I was about to tell you guys a thing, and I will not be doing that. Oh, fly just hit me in the head. Intel launches, and this is definitely something that I'm happy to hear about. Let's go ahead and post this in Twitch chat. Man, I am loving my internet connection right now. We just upgraded to gigabit up and down, and I'm super stoked on my life right now. Automotive Security Review Board to ensure the cybersecurity of cars. This is something we don't appreciate enough about Intel sometimes. It's not all about how fast can you make the transistor switch and how much cache can you stick on there. They're involved in a lot of bigger picture stuff that we all benefit from, whether we buy Intel CPUs or not. So the reports of hacked cars, in fact, we've talked about it on the WAN show, have been pretty regular lately, with about 1 in 5 vehicles on the road worldwide sort of projected to have some kind of wireless network connection by 2020, meaning more than 250 million connected vehicles could potentially be affected by these issues that have been showing up in the news, really more often than we'd like in the last little bit. This is all according to Gartner. Intel then announced the formation of the Automotive Security Review Board, the ASRB, which aims to lessen and address auto cybersecurity risks. So their research arm is tasked with performing continuous security tests and inspections, and will pick from top security industry talent. And Intel has also published the first white paper version of the automotive security best practices. They will provide incentives by awarding a new car to the researcher that makes the most significant contributions in advancing automobile cyber security. Well, dang, man. I wish I had that kind of capability. I could use a new car, as many of you probably know. On the subject of a new car for Linus, let's talk about the sponsors for today's show. That's actually pretty funny. Squarespace. So, okay. Do you guys know what Squarespace is? Let's see. Twitch chat. Okay, whatever. There's a delay, so I'm sure they're all going to tell me they do. Squarespace is the place to go if you want to build yourself a beautiful-looking website that is also extremely functional, and not to mention easy to use. They've got state-of-the-art technology. It's all cloud-based, so all of your website management is just as simple as signing into a portal with your credentials, and then you can just kind of like add modules or remove them. You can edit text, change out pictures. You can add items so they've got a lot of different templates. So if it's just a company informational website like ours, we can update our address when we move. We can add new employees, do simple stuff like that. Or depending on what you're trying to build, if you have like a portfolio, you can add all your latest work really easily, keep it organized. If you're building a store, you can add new items, take away ones that are sold, all that kind of cool stuff. And it starts at only $8 a month with a free domain thrown in if you sign up for a year. I guess what is there to really say about it other than that linusmediagroup.com, to my knowledge, has never gone down in the 2 years that we've been working with Squarespace and had our site powered by them. So highly recommended, Squarespace. You don't have to commit right away. With no credit card required, you can sign up for a free trial and start building your website. They have 24/7 tech support, and you can find out if it works for you. So use offer code Linus to save 10% on your first order. Sponsor number 2, it's Tunnelbear, the easy-to-use privacy app for mobile and desktop. So it's available on iOS, Android, Mac, PC, Chrome. You can tunnel to 14 different countries, allowing you to browse the internet as if you were in that country. So a lot of people use this for things like avoiding geo restrictions on certain content. It's blah, blah, blah. So basically you just pick your country within the app, you turn Tunnelbear on, and your internet connection gets fully encrypted. You don't have to be technical to use or install Tunnelbear. In fact, all their communication is very friendly, very mainstream friendly. They have a plain English privacy policy, which is really important when you're selecting a VPN because your data straight up goes through them. They are actually an intermediary between you and whatever else you're communicating with. They've got 5 million users, and you can try it out for free. Tunnelbear gives you 500 megabytes of data for free every month, and you get an extra gigabyte if you tweet at them. So if you need more data, prices for unlimited plans start at $6.99 per month. Download it today. This side, I think. There we go. Blah, 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 blah. Tunnelbear.com/LTT. I don't know if some of you have noticed, but we've actually started upgrading the set here on the WAN show, which I think is pretty cool. Esther is actually here in the warehouse working on the Linus Tech Tips set. But we've got a number of other things, including like an old sewing machine and all kinds of junk that we're planning to add to the back to make the WAN show look better. So I had a few people say, "Hey, the new set looks great, except that it's really plain looking." Don't worry, we're working on it. And speaking of working on it, if you find yourself working on things and you don't have the right tool, you might just want to get yourself one of these puppies. This is the Repair Business Toolkit. It contains pretty much every iFixit thing that we have ever shown off before. So the magnetic mat with the correctable pen so you can label all the screws and junk that you're using as you put together or take apart a device. They've got the Protect Toolkit, which I use, I would say, at least 4 days out of 7 a week. Like, seriously, I use this thing all the time. Whether it's just like I need, some ESD safe tweezers or an unusual screwdriver bit or whatever. Whatever this one's called, something tech tools toolkit. So this is basically just a screwdriver set with a lot of the stuff that you're likely to find when you're disassembling or assembling electronics. The difference between these ones and the ProTech toolkit is this is all the really tiny bits, and these ones have nice rubber grips on them so you can really crank them. What is this? Yeah, this is just a box for another ProTech toolkit. Way to go, guys! Doesn't come with 2 ProTech toolkits. Bunch of other stuff in here. There's like a screen cleaner. There's like a little blower for cleaning dust out of junk. They got their suction cups for pulling screens off things, an ESD safe work mat, all kinds of great stuff in there. And basically, you can use offer code WANSHOW. That's funny. I put it behind the screen. I was trying to point at WANSHOW. I'm like, my finger is disappearing. Where's it going? Oh, so funny. There we go. So use offer code WANSHOW and you can save $10 off a purchase of $50 or more. You can buy it for yourself, or this is a suggestion from iFixit. You can go ahead and give it to someone as a gift. And that's actually an extremely good idea. So it's September, so I know it's a little early for Christmas, but how thrilled would the geek in your family be? That is assuming that you're not the geek in your family, or one of them at least. How thrilled would the geek in your family be if they got a toolkit like that for Christmas? Pretty cool stuff. Everyone's giving me crap about the where's my finger thing. Come on! I can't be an expert on everything, and things being in front of other things. That's some complicated stuff right there. What else we got for... Oh, this is great. So the OP here is Prof over on the forum. Fan-freaking-tastic, friends. So I haven't looked too much into this one yet, but the original article here is from CBC. Robot ethicist calls for ban on sex robots. Now, we've talked about this on the show before. There are some pretty, I don't know what to say. I don't want to be offensive, but for me personally, so take it as, my personal, ignorant hate speech or whatever, some pretty creepy sex toys out there, like some pretty weird stuff where, they want to use AI to make the interaction seem like the toy is enjoying it, and, super realistic heads and super realistic bodies. And I'll tell you, when I was over in Japan, just kind of walking around in stores, I found some stuff that I was just like, wow, really? So maybe I just live under a rock and this is all like totally normal stuff. But Dr. Kathleen Richardson is a robot ethicist at De Montfort University in Leicester, and she believes that these robot sex dolls reinforce traditional stereotypes of women and view that it is a relationship And so this like sort of traditional stereotype of women and a view that a relationship doesn't need to be anything more than physical. So sex dolls on the market are becoming more sophisticated. There's a company called True Companion that boasts that it's developing the world's first sex robot and promises to launch its first doll, Roxy, with 3 X's of course, later this year. There are apparently thousands of pre-orders at a retail price of $7,000, with the CEO of True Companion commenting, "We are not supplanting the wife or trying to replace a girlfriend. This is a solution for people who are between relationships or someone who has lost a spouse and wants the doll to be a self-learning engine for the user." Wow. I think we've actually run this straw poll before, but I don't remember the results, and I always love to hear from you guys. So sex doll, and this is going to be a bit of a different phrasing of the question. So is it, and I want to be really careful with the use of this word, because the word wrong has a lot of negative connotation. Let's not go with the word wrong. Let's go with sex dolls agree or disagree. Okay? So I'm keeping it very general. So basically, do you think And you can interpret this. I leave it open for interpretation a little bit. Do you think people should buy them? Do you think people should make them? Do you think people should be allowed to buy them? Should be allowed to make them? Like, do you agree? Or do you not agree? They should or they should not at all. And I know that, I hope most of you kind of get what I mean. So here we go. Let's have a look at the results for that straw poll in a little bit, and I'll go ahead and move on to my next topic. This is so awesome. So the original poster here is Aljolina. I straight up have no idea how to pronounce that. I'm going to go ahead and throw that link in there. I'm losing track of my links here. There we go. So the original article here is from Phone Arena. The Sony Z5 Premium apparently only renders media in 4K and the rest in 1080p for a 2-day battery. And I can tell you right now, I'm not getting 2 days out of that battery, and I'm sure a lot of people aren't. But, you know, maybe someone does or whatever. So there was a lot of concern about the absolutely unbelievable, like a lot of people I talked to didn't even believe the rumors that it was going to have a 4K display. So the astounding 800 plus pixel per inch density, that is a huge first, like way far and away from others. The Galaxy S6, for example, has 577 pixels per inch. A lot of people are saying there's no way that's true because A, it would be impossible to manufacture in any reasonable volume with reasonable yield, so at a reasonable price, and B, because no one is asking for this. Nobody wants this. There's no benefit to the end user to having a high resolution display that just sucks more power, not only itself, but also from the components that are trying to drive it. Like if you're going to try and game on mobile in 4K, even though the graphics are not that detailed, you're just gonna run out of frame buffer. Like you're just gonna run out of memory. It's just not a good idea. So there you go. They show 1080p resolution for the like the actual. So what it'll show to an application is 1080p resolution. So it'll render at 1080p rather than the display's actual 2160 by 3840 pixel count. So this does raise some concerns about whether the display will look good running at a non-native resolution, something that is definitely an advantage for any pixel-based display, whether it's LCD or OLED or whatever else the case may be. But as long as they handle it correctly, I really don't think that's a huge issue. I guess for me, I'm just sort of scratching my head. So as someone who already doesn't believe we need 1440p at 5.5 inches, I'm really scratching my head as to why we're even bothered with this. So it's got a 3430 milliamp hour battery, which I call total BS on the 2A battery life with, by the way. And we're throwing a 4K display at it, which straight up, I mean, I've talked about Retina already on this show, sort of the Retina display concept, which already we won't be able to tell, especially because where are you guys getting 4K, like good quality 4K content on your phones? And like, I don't know, there's 100 reasons I can think of why this is totally stupid. But if you wanted to be a baller and have the first 4K phone display, then I guess you can pick up a Z5 Premium, and I haven't really managed to make a point here, but I guess there just isn't really one. Let's go back to the sex dolls. Here we go. Sex dolls, agree or disagree? So a significant 54% of you figure, what the hey, bring it on, sex dolls. With 20% of you maybe having concerns about whether people will bother to maintain traditional relationships if they have the option of just having a sex doll and fulfilling those particular needs. I mean, let's be honest with ourselves. You know, a fair amount of the effort that we put into, you know, combing our hair in the morning and not smelling bad is about trying to attract a mate. So if we feel like we don't have to bother, then, you know, well, apparently only 20% of you care about that, with 26% of you figuring turnip is the only response there with any merit. All right. Oh, this is just such a bummer for AMD. Here we go. I went ahead and posted that there. The original article here is from WCCF Tech. Jim Keller has left AMD. Oh, can you not, please? Thank you. Jim Keller has left AMD. So he was well known for having a heavy hand. Well, no, heavy hand has a particular meaning. So having his hands directly on AMD's K7 and K8 series microprocessors. So that was really the heyday of AMD, you guys. Like, AMD rode K8. I mean, a lot of what they did with K8, after Jim Keller left, was just like adding glue to the design that was already there. Like, it's like, oh, well, we got one of these K8 cores. Why don't we do two now? Because we have a, smaller manufacturing process. So he actually left in 1998 and was involved in Apple's A4 and A5 SoCs after joining Apple in 2008. So yeah, he has worked on some pretty big name stuff. So he came back to AMD in 2012 to work on basically digging them out of the hole that they were in for desktop CPU performance. So codename Zen, AMD's upcoming x86 cores are targeting a 40% improvement in per clock performance over AMD's previous generation processors, which, let's just face it, have absolutely stunk. Like, AMD managed to take the, what was the last sort of compelling one? I guess you could say the 1100T was their last 6-core. They managed to introduce 8-core processors that legitimately had lower IPC than their previous 6-core, and it hasn't really gotten any better from there. I mean, we keep getting, better onboard graphics, which, AMD was really banging that drum like, yeah, we got APUs, and by the time anyone cares, and by the time any applications leverage this, Intel's gonna have onboard graphics that are as good or better. Oh crap, what are we gonna do now? So it looks like the plan, in 2012 was to bring back the CPU on the AMD side and hit it hard. And so he's been there for a few years now working on that, and now he's gone. Now, with that said, something a lot of people don't really understand is that a CPU or a graphics processor, any of these types of products, is being worked on literally for years. So if Zen is going to launch in 2016, I think Q4 is the current rumor. If Zen is going to launch in Q4 of 2016, and he's been working on it since 2012, probably so much of the groundwork has been laid at this point that him leaving could have little to no impact on Zen. So I've seen a lot of people, knee-jerk reactions to this going, oh no, AMD is doomed, they're not going to have Zen, they're not going to have a processor, blah, blah, blah. That's totally not going to be the case, I hope. I mean, I can't say Zen's not doomed, but what I'll say is that Jim Keller leaving now is probably not going to be the reason for Zen to be doomed if it does end up being doomed. However, we look at what happened last time he worked on a project over there, and then when he left, and then it was kind of super bad after that. I'm not saying that won't happen again, but I mean, it's not like he also hasn't been there working with his team for a few years, hopefully training people. I'm not saying, obviously, that he's the only person who worked on Zen. They've got an extraordinarily skilled team of engineers over at AMD, so, it is not a one-man job designing a CPU, so there you go. Read into it however much or however little you want, but he's gone. And that's a bummer. Speaking of things that are a bummer, this is do you not charge us enough already? Our original article here is from Ars Technica. Let's go ahead and pull this up. Are you not already sucking us dry? Empty Epson ink cartridges have been discovered to be still 20% full. 20%! So high-end, and this is not like your cheapo consumer, like, we need to bilk you for a couple more dollars, nonsense here. This is like high-end printers where they're basically just scamming the customer out of 1/5 of what they paid an awful lot of money to have. So a printing company cut open some cartridges to see how empty they really were. So this is a high-end printer that retails for about £3,000 or about $5,000. And basically their comments to Epson, which they have made multiple times, asking about this, like, hey, what's the deal? These are like 15 to 20% full still, have just gone unanswered. So they still have 60 to 80 mils of ink. And when you consider that inkjet printer ink is as expensive or more than high-end perfume, you better have a freaking good excuse for wasting 60 to 80 mils of this stuff. And on top of that, this is hilarious. So this printer has something along there you go. The Stylus Pro 9900 has 11 cartridges. So if you're throwing away $50 of ink per cartridge, changing out your 11 cartridges, we're talking $550. That is so rubbish. Like, holy crap. So they're hoping that their YouTube video will get them more exposure so that Epson will actually have to answer for what they're doing. And I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to link that here. You guys should definitely check that out. Do share it, because the more pressure that we can put, not just on Epson, the more pressure that we can put on ink cartridge companies to accurately report the ink in them, the better. And it's not just about reporting. Like, it's one thing to have electronic reporting for how much ink is left. That's great. I love that. And I even understand if they're going to buffer the reporting and it's going to go down to 0 when there's actually, 15 to 20% left, because you can't account for, cleaning cycles or whatever. Okay, so there's stuff that you might not be able to account for. You're not going to get every last drop out of anything. It might cling to the side. So fine, I understand that. But what I don't understand is that you don't keep printing until you're done. It's like if your car has a fuel gauge that goes to E, when it's, pretty empty, which a lot of them do. In fact, consumers have said that they prefer that. And you watch your car, okay? So it stays on full for a bit, and then it kind of, blitzes its way for a bit, and then it kind of hangs around half. And then it goes down faster to kind of the bottom, and then it hangs out there for a bit, and the needle on some cars will actually go past the E. It's hilarious. But that doesn't mean you stop driving when it hits the E if there's still gas in the tank. Come on, man. If I want to ride my ink cartridges to the end, then I should have the right to do that. All right. What else we got here? Wow, this show has flown by. It's after 6 already. Holy cow. This is cool. So this was posted by Alex Goes High on the forum. Let's go ahead and copy that link there. Boop. And the original article here is from The Verge. Here's our best look yet at BlackBerry's upcoming Android slider. This is a phone that could get my attention. Because as much as this marks me as a bit of an old guy, I am from the physical phone keyboard era, okay? And I still touch type better on a physical phone than I do on a touchscreen. I've seen people who can touch type on a touchscreen faster than I ever was on a physical phone. And kudos to them. I'm not one of them. Maybe partly due to the fact that I'm switching phones all the time, so the spacing is always changing around on me, but I'm not going to make excuses. I'm better touch typing on a physical keyboard than I am on a not physical keyboard, and that looks absolutely fantabulous, doesn't it? If you're into the BlackBerry keyboard, see, it's not actually inordinately thick, you might be into this particular device, and this hands-on from The Verge is looking pretty good. If other things about it are good, this could be a winner. So other specs, it has a 5.4-inch Quad HD display, a Snapdragon 808 processor, 3 gigs of RAM, and an 18-megapixel rear camera. To be clear, the 18 megapixels means nothing. So let's wait until we see some test images from it. What else we got for rapid fire topics today? Google accidentally launched climate change. This was originally posted by Joss on the forum. Now, to be clear, they didn't change the climate, which is what the headline there actually kind of sounds like. And the original article here is from Android Headlines. It's great. Our internet is so fast now that I always know that it's someone else's site that's slow. Awesome. So it's Google Maps is testing a climate change feature, and what it basically did. Can I help you?
Just want to say hi.
Oh, okay. Hi.
Hi.
It's not after party. It's still the show.
Okay, well, it's after 6.
So last Friday, a worst-case scenario report was released to the news media about the effects of sea levels if we burn all of our fossil fuels. On the same day, Google turned on a new feature in Google Maps that showed the California coastline underwater with just a 2-inch rise in sea levels. So this was their attempt to raise awareness about the effects of fossil fuels. The Los Angeles area was the only part of the country where this feature was turned on. And Google states that it was a coincidence to time it with the worst case scenario report, and also blames their many map partners for the issue. It's been back to normal since last Friday. I guess that's pretty much it. I want to thank all of you guys for tuning into the WAN show, and I will see you again next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. This time with no technical difficulties. Okay, come on. It was pretty minor this week, you guys. It was just a black screen for like a minute. It's not that bad, right? I mean, also, I guess the intro, which I'm rolling now, which I'm trying to roll now, which, okay, didn't restart on time. Okay, so, dang it. Don't remember playback position. And then when finished, do nothing. And I think we're done here. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next week. There's the train. Yeah, the one drawback of the new studio compared to the old one. The train that goes by periodically. Like all the time. Actually, it's not that bad. Yeah. Yeah, a couple times a day. All right.